John chapter 16, verse 2. They will put you out of the synagogue. In fact, the time is coming when anyone who kills you will think they are offering a service to God. It started with whispers, rumors that a nearby village had been attacked. They said men on bikes came through shouting, Allahu Akbar, that homes were burned and believers were dragged into the streets. We prayed for them that night. We didn't know that by the next sunset, we'd be the next village on the list. It was Wednesday evening, the air thick with the smell of rain. The generator outside hummed softly as we gathered for midweek fellowship in our little church. 50 people packed into one clay building with wooden benches and cracked windows. We sang louder than the thunder, children clapped, women danced, and Pastor Emmanuel preached from Matthew 5:10. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. He said it with such conviction that I almost believed persecution was a blessing to look forward to. But I didn't understand. Not yet. Halfway through prayer, the generator cut out. The lights went black. Silence fell. Then came the sound that froze every heart in the room. Gunfire, not far. Maybe 2 streets away. Children started crying. Someone shouted, "Lock the doors!" Another whispered, "It's them. They're here." The first explosion shook the ground, a petrol bomb against one of the outer huts. Screams echoed in the distance. I saw the glow of fire outside the windows. Motorcycles roared in circles, and voices shouted in Hausa and Fulfulde, "Kill them all! Burn the church!" We huddled together as Pastor Emmanuel raised his hand. "Do not fear," he said. "Our lives are in his hands." But even he trembled as he said it. The door burst open. A man stormed in, face wrapped in a black scarf, holding a rifle that looked older than him. He shouted something, and before we could react, another fired into the ceiling, a deafening blast. Dust fell. Babies screamed. They dragged people out one by one, demanding they renounce Jesus. Those who refused didn't make it far. I pressed myself under a pew, praying that somehow I'd wake up and this would be a dream. But the heat from the burning houses outside told me it was real. They caught Pastor Emmanuel first, dragged him into the center aisle. One man struck him with the butt of his rifle. Another pressed a machete against his neck. "Say it," they told him. "Say you have no Jesus." But he looked up, bleeding, and said, "Jesus is Lord, even now." The man laughed, and it happened. A flash of silver, a scream, and silence. The kind of silence that screams louder than any noise. I remember the blood pooling at his feet, the cross still hanging around his neck. I wanted to run, but my legs betrayed me. I couldn't move. I could only watch as they tore Bibles apart, burned them, and laughed like demons in human flesh. By dawn, the village was gone. Smoke rose where homes once stood. The church was reduced to blackened bones of wood and ash. I stumbled through what was left, calling names. Grace, Joshua, Mama Udo. But only the crows answered. I found Sister Grace clutching her child near the altar. Both gone, a Bible beside them, open to Romans 8:38. For I am convinced that neither death nor life shall be able to separate us from the love of God. I fell to my knees. For the first time in my life, I had no words for God, just questions, just anger, just grief that burned worse than fire. Then I heard it, faint, broken, but clear, singing. A handful of survivors gathered near the well, their voices weak but steady. "It is well with my soul." That's when I realized faith doesn't die in flames, it lives in ashes. We walked for days, barefoot, hungry, hiding in forests by night. The government called them bandits. We knew better. They were devils wearing flesh. In the next town, soldiers wouldn't even let us in. We were displaced persons, nothing but numbers in a conflict the world pretends not to see. We begged for water. Some people helped, others turned away. Still we prayed, not for revenge, but for strength. That's where I met Ruth. She'd lost her husband, her 2 sons, and still she smiled with this light in her eyes that didn't belong to this world. She said, "They can kill the body, brother, but not the spirit." My husband died saying, "I forgive you." Do you understand what power that is? I didn't, but I wanted to. We found refuge in an abandoned schoolhouse. There, we rebuilt. Not walls, but faith. Every night, candles flickered, and we whispered hymns so softly. No drums, no microphones, just trembling voices and broken hearts trying to stay whole. One evening, a boy named Daniel stood up. Maybe 16, maybe younger. He said, "If they come again, I will not hide. I will stand like Stephen did." We tried to silence him, afraid someone might hear, but he wouldn't stop. He said, "They can burn our homes, but they can't burn heaven." We all wept, because even in fear, the spirit was stronger. The inevitable happened. One of the local boys betrayed us for food. The men came back, this time with more guns, more fire, more hate. They lined us up outside the school, tied our hands, and gave us a choice. Renounce your Christ, or die like dogs. Some stood frozen in silence. Others broke down in tears. Daniel said, voice trembling but firm, "How could I renounce the one who saved me?" They struck him hard, knocking him to the ground, and then they lit the fire. I don't remember what happened after that. Everything went dark. The sight of it all overwhelmed me, and I must have fainted. When I finally woke up, the men were gone, and Daniel was still alive, but barely holding on, dazed, unresponsive. Now, years later, I travel from village to village in the northern part of Nigeria, raising awareness. And everywhere I go, I see the same thing: destruction and devotion. Mothers who lost their children still lead songs. Men who watch their wives die still build new churches out of mud and tin. Children orphaned by hatred still lift their hands in worship. And when I ask them what keeps them going, they always say, "Because of Jesus." We still sing, we still pray, we still stand for Christ, for truth, for the blood that was spilled on Calvary. Because the same God who stood with Stephen, with Daniel, with Pastor Emmanuel, still stands with us.